poisoning in your home, this time of year is gonna be when it will be a little bit more prevalent. Oh yay, it worked. Okay, so it's often referred to as the invisible killer. And the reason why it's the invisible killer is because you can't smell it and you can't see it and you can't taste it. It's just there, and it builds up in your home, and you may not be aware that you have it within your home. So some sources that put off CO2 that are outdoor sources are going to be heavy machinery, and then any type of vehicle, truck, car, motorcycle, moped, anything that would give off, like that has a, what is it, would be I guess like a muffler on it, is gonna give off CO2. And then your indoor sources of CO2, this can be gas stove, if you have kerosene heater, if you have a chimney, if you have gas stove, gas furnaces, those are all sources of CO2 within your, that could provide CO2 in your home, and it affects your air quality. There is about hundreds of people die per year of carbon monoxide poisoning, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it's still something that can be easily prevented. So we don't want anyone to, die from it when it can be easily prevented. And then it makes thousands of people ill each year. So next, we are going to look at, these are the places within your home that put off a lot of your carbon monoxide. So you can see you have your fireplace, puts it off, and then up through your chimney, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Your stove, you have your furnace, or actually your water heater in your furnace, your dryer, your car, and then you have a grill that's outside, and then you can see over there number 5, which is a generator. And so it's not the fact that generators, a lot of people nowadays are getting generators, it's just making sure that you have proper ventilation if you have a generator. So some people have had them just put in their garage, over here, and like they'll have the garage door down, and then it will build up the gases. Or you see right here, it looks like the garage door could possibly be down, and they're running their car because it's winter time. That's very dangerous, and we will talk about other things and why it's dangerous. So next, here is the symptoms if you have been exposed to carbon monoxide. So headache, dizziness, weakness, upset stomach, vomiting, chest pain, confusion, flu-like symptoms. And this can be kind of hard because these are kind of, when you just don't feel good, these are kind of symptoms that you have when you just don't feel good. Or now that we have COVID is a thing, or it's going to be around, I guess, for a long time. Some of these mimic COVID. So it was really bad in 2019 when the COVID pandemic was coming on and people were staying in their homes more. And some people are still, even though I guess we're technically out of a pandemic, there are still people that are still cautious nowadays, especially in the wintertime. So they mimic COVID-19, but they also mimic the flu symptoms. So it can be really hard to tell if you do have carbon monoxide poisoning. And then something else that happens is you kind of get carbon monoxide poisoning, and it either you pass out basically and you go to sleep, and then unfortunately you can die from it if somebody doesn't wake you up or get you to the hospital. Another thing that people say that it might feel like is maybe you've drank too much, so like that kind of feeling of woozy if you have drank too much or experienced that is what it could feel like, very lightheaded, or with carbon monoxide. So if you have any of the symptoms that I listed previously, the first thing you want to do is go outside and get fresh air. Second thing, of course, is contact emergency personnel and seek medical attention. And then make sure if you think it's carbon monoxide poisoning, that's not always going to be necessarily the first thing that they check. So make sure that you tell medical personnel that you want to be checked for carbon monoxide poisoning, because like I said, that's not going to be kind of the first thing that first responders might be checking. So make sure, hey, check for this, and they can, they're going to do your blood and see what your O2 or CO levels are in your blood, and then treat it accordingly. So it's important that you actually have carbon monoxide detectors installed in your home. And so we're going to talk about where. I'll give you all the little cheat sheet answer of where your carbon monoxide detectors should be to see if you all were correct. I was going to give you one so you didn't have to write on. Okay, thank you. And so first off, the first step to prevention is making sure that you actually have a carbon monoxide detector. So in your, or on your picture, it's not on the PowerPoint, but you do have handouts for this. Your laundry room should have one. In your living space, kitchen, you can put one in your garage area if you would like one, and then your bedroom. So basically the places with X's are kind of going to be where the prevalence of carbon monoxide within your home can be found. And then it also goes in depth on the sheet, and it will talk about why you need to put carbon monoxide detectors in these places. It's also important to note that a carbon monoxide detector is different than a smoke alarm. So smoke alarm, it will not detect carbon monoxide at all in your home. And vice versa, a carbon monoxide detector is not going to tell you about the smoke in your house. Also, carbon monoxide detectors don't detect any other types of gases in your home. So if you have, like if you had a propane leak or a natural gas leak, carbon monoxide detectors don't detect that. They only detect the CO2. There's also many different types of carbon monoxide detectors. There's ones that just plug in the wall. There are ones that are battery powered. There are some that are both electric powered and battery powered in case you lose electricity, which would be something I recommend if you want it to plug in the wall, because if it's an ice storm and you have a generator with heat and then you lose, your power, and it's just, it's not really going to do a lot of good if you don't have batteries or a generator to run your carbon monoxide detectors.
So the ones that have both the carbon dioxide and the smoke are okay?
Yes, because they are manufactured to do both. And this one actually has, this box I picked up at our Walmart in Ohio County, and it actually has, in this kit, there comes a smoke detector and there comes a carbon monoxide detector. So this one is separate. It comes with two different units. But thank you for that one. I was like, what am I trying to say? I was just like kits, but units. But they do make some that would be round or square that have both the smoke detector and the CO2 or carbon monoxide detector, and it will say it on your box. This will be found in an aisle. This was actually at Walmart with the light bulb, so like your housing type tools and area at your, I was going to say grocery store, but Walmart is a grocery store, but your hardwood, there we go, hardware stores, and even your grocery stores sell these and things. But and then sometimes, if I can't speak for here, but I know you can get sometimes from your Red Cross chapter. Back home, I'm not from the Green River area, I'm from Cavery, but I know that they do that in Red Cross and sometimes your health departments. I'm not familiar with up here, but that might be something to check on.
The fire department, October is like fire prevention, and they usually have them, and if anybody needs them, they will give them, maybe even an install.
Yes, and I know lots of times if that's another resource that if you're not sure, oh, what am I looking for? Like, is it making the right sound? Because one, it says if you get these, make sure you keep the box, and there'll be instructions in here. I'm not going to open this because somebody's going to get it, but there's instructions in a box because each unit is different, and something I'll always say is keep it so that you know what does this sound mean, or if it's making a light, what does it do, and everybody's is going to be different. So if you keep it, then you can know if it's functioning properly. And then that's also a good tool too if you want to use like your local fire department. I'm sure they'd be happy to come and make sure they're installed properly and that they are working the way that they should be. So
So do they have batteries like your smoke detector? Do they need to be replaced every year?
yes, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked that.
I
Yes.
actually knew the answer, but I wanted to.
Yes, we're, some of these slides are a little slower, but yes, so you need to change them. It says when we change our clocks, but I think if I'm mistaken, we're fixing to go into something where we don't change our clocks anymore, or I don't know. So, or fall back and spring forward and all that, I don't know how it's changing, but, try to check them, the batteries, you at least wanna check the batteries once a year. But monthly, you need to test both your carbon monoxide detector and your smoke detector. That needs to be done monthly. And it probably wouldn't even hurt if you wanted to, if you're already up there fooling with it or pressing buttons, it may not hurt to even check the batteries. And then make sure that if you have, some people may not think about if they have a 2-story home or if they have a home that has a basement, that both smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors should be in all levels of your home, not just on the main floor. So basements included, or second story, or I guess, you know, your second floor stories, however you want to.
Do you need to have them in every room?
So, carbon monoxide detectors, it is better if maybe not every room, but if you have them not just in one spot within your home. So like if you have, especially if you have any type of like gas appliances, so if you have a fireplace, you would definitely want one in your living room area. If you have gas, a washer dryer type thing, or I guess it's really dryer, you would want to make sure that it's in your laundry room. So maybe not necessarily every single spot, but you want more than one for your home, for sure. So I wouldn't say that it has to be in every room, but one would not suffice, because it's, you know, by the time, if carbon monoxide builds up in, say, your laundry room, but your bedroom is opposite ends, you know, by the time that build up, it could be at a toxic level. So you'd want to be notified that something's going on in your laundry room, you know, so it notifies you. Does that make sense? So, you know, you'd have a ton of these if you put it, depending on how big your house is, but more than one, definitely. Let's see. Yes, okay, so have your appliances serviced, especially if you have a chimney. So, one, chimney collects carbon monoxide within it, and so you need to make sure that your chimneys are getting cleaned out every year, and then also make sure that they have the, I think it's called like the, is it called the flute on the chimney, I believe? Make sure that's open so that when you get your fire started, it can escape. Some people have forgotten to open those, and then those gases get trapped. So not only can the gases need a way to escape, but you also need to get them cleaned, because they store gases throughout the year, even if you're not using it. Then also your water heaters, anything that has types of gas within your home, if you have those, get those serviced yearly. If you're using some source that has oil or coal, get those serviced and looked at by a technician as well. Here's kind of just a picture of them cleaning their chimney, and why it's important. Also, if you do lose power for some reason, whether it be a storm or an ice storm, this is kind of tricky. You don't want to burn your charcoal grill, bring that inside and start cooking because of the gases. I know that's hard to do. We've had some ice storms, and many of us have been without power. I know some people were like 14 days without power, and when you don't have a heat source, I know turning to heat sources like this can be tricky, but make sure that you're not, it can really hurt you, that buildup in CO2 in your home, and using things that shouldn't be used in your home inside. Also, you see a picture of your car. So this is kind of one of the common things. One way that unfortunately people have passed away or gotten sick is not thinking about having their garage door down and having their car running. But it's also dangerous even if you have the garage door up and running. Those gases can still seep in your house even if that garage door was up. So that can be hard in the wintertime. Some of us have those remote start vehicles. You may not be thinking about it, and you press it to get your car warmed up. Even if the door is open, it's still not safe. I know that kind of defeats the purpose of backing your car out of the garage to start it, but that's better be safe than sorry. So get your car out and let it heat that way versus having the door up. That goes the same with if you have motorcycles, lawnmowers, anything like that.
If you have a newer house, there is a code that makes your house to be on a different level than your garage, that's one of the reasons, is because of gases. If you have an older home, they're probably on the same level, and it's a lot more dangerous if it's on the same.
You just taught me something. I did not know that. I was like, I know that there's a reason why they say it. I don't know what the reason is, but and then the generators says, you know, do not use a generator inside your home unless it's 20 feet from a window or door. So if you have to use it, make sure you have window or proper ventilation. And then we already talked about, here's a bigger picture of kind of some of the different detectors. So you can see the one on the far left would be a picture of the one that has the smoke and the CO2. So it's going to say it not only on the box when you get ready to purchase it at the store, but it's also going to say it on your device. And then there's some ones that are more high tech, so you have like digital that's going to tell you the readings, and then they should always make a sound when the levels get too high. I like this one because you can adjust the volume on it. Some of them just have a plain sound they make. This one has one that you can make really loud. So for me, I like this one because I'm hard of hearing and I don't hear very well. So I would need this at the loudest volume, and so that's really good. Not only is it has digital, so it will. I haven't read the directions, but it will light up, and it also makes a sound. So it's both visual and for hearing. So that's kind of a plus about this one that some of the other ones may not do. And if that were to tell me a reading of a house, all of our houses are different. So like the reading of what a high amount of CO2 in your home is going to be different, because if you have a 1,400 square foot house versus a 2,000 square foot home, it's going to be different with how much built up, because that space is different. So if I were to have one of these digital ones and it gives me some number, I wouldn't have a clue what that meant. So I definitely need the one that does the lights and, you know, the hearing. This just kind of goes on to more and talks about how I said earlier, carbon monoxide detectors do not detect gases like natural gas, propane, or other types of things. They only detect CO2, and smoke detectors only detect fire and smoke within your home. And unless it's a combination, then it can do both. And then we talked about maintenance, so test it, and then, you know, don't let people borrow them and bring them back. If you think if it's defective, you know, buy a new one. And always keep the instructions, read the manufacturer's instructions before installation. And, oh, sorry. This has a little video about it. I forgot about the video.
Before you start that, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
When I took some training, they said we should replace our smoke alarms every 10 years. Is that the same for carbon monoxide?
You know, that's a good question.
Probably according to the manufacturer.
Yes. I'm gonna go with that. Let's see. This one might actually say on here, end of life.
If you read
Yes,
the bottom
this-
there, it says,
This one says on this box, yes, both of them say 10 years. So I would say it depends on which one you have.
Okay.
And I'll go back with sound. But your box gives you lots, like this one will tell you what the battery means, how much of a life it has. So it says both of these need to be replaced after 10 years on here. It tells you about like the alarm, how you adjust the sound to make it louder or softer based upon your needs, and what to do in power outages, how the batteries work. So I would say if you don't have one in your home and you go out and buy it, it's gonna, you know, be helpful. If you bought your home and I would say it's more than 10 years, my recommendation would be, based upon this box, go out and replace it just to be safe versus sorry.
If you put one of these in, it's different than if it's hardwired in your house.
Yes, because this one is
That's just like portable. Like,
yes. The hardwired ones,
See, that's a lot of new construction, they hardwire those things in.
That's when, see, in our home, we have a brand new build. Our home has hardwired smoke detectors. We don't have carbon monoxide detectors, so we had to buy all of ours are plug-in, but they're both battery and electric. So like it has the batteries back up for when we lose our power.
That's good.
For that, I would say, you know, if it's hardwired in, that's kind of going into an electrician type thing, or I would even ask like fire department. I don't really want to give you the wrong instructions with like installation and things, so I would.
Right. But I see what you're saying about the smoke alarm
Mhm.
versus the carbon monoxide detector. They might not be hardwired in.
Right.
Depends if you had no gas furnace, gas water heater, gas stove, gas anything, would you still need one?
Yes, because there's still environmental causes, and so you could still be at risk. So it's recommended, even if you don't have those, still have one in your home.
There's a very low likelihood though, if you don't have any gas appliances in your home, that there's gonna be, your automobile can cause that, you know, if you have a
Right,
leak
right.
in your garage door. But there's a very low likelihood that you would have enough carbon monoxide buildup in a home that doesn't have gas appliances to be a problem. Also, like a ventless fireplace, if people have these ventless gas fireplaces these days, and they will tell you there is no way that you can run your gas fireplace all day, all winter, and not have enough buildup. But just to be sure, I would definitely put one in.
Yes,
But
yes.
but in your home with no gas appliances, there's a really, really low likelihood that you're gonna have a monoxide buildup.
But being from extension, we're gonna say have one.
That's right.
Err on the side of
That's
caution.
right, erring on the side of
Maybe-
caution.
Yes,
But don't panic if you don't have it, because there's a really low likelihood.
but at least getting one.
On the hardwire, I think the builders, you know, that's a feature they really suggest and whatever, you know, make it look better. But as far as the fire department, they don't like the hardwire, because if you ever have an electrical fire, they don't work.
Well, they do if you put a battery backup. So
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
hardwired when we just did our son's house, and we wired them in, and we have battery backup in them. So if your power's out, your battery will take over. But you're right, if it's just electrical, you're gonna have a problem. But most of them, just like your alarm clock, have a battery backup, and I highly recommend if you have one hardwired, that you put a battery backup. And check it regularly, just like you would if it was, yeah.
Yes, and I know that ours, when the batteries go bad, ours at home, both smoke
Beep.
detector and ES, and it is a beep that you will.
It'll drive you crazy
fix.
on purpose. so
Yes,
that
which
you'll
is a
change it.
which is a good feature, but it's also scared me because I'm like, okay, what's
If
going
you have
on?
more than one and you hear the beep, it takes a while to decide, okay.
Which one
Yes,
is it?
going
Where's
on.
that beep
That's
coming from?
going on a hunt.
It's
and I
usually
have one-
easier just to change them all.
And then they're usually, you know, at first they're farther between, and then as they get, and sometimes it's fun trying to find out which one it is.
And it's always in the middle of the night when it starts.
Yeah, what's that? What is that?
When you're in a deep sleep and you're waking up going, what is that?
And also be careful of the ventless heaters.
Yes.
We had one in my garage and my husband became overcome by the CO2.
Really?
And it said it doesn't produce it. He was out there working on a car and it's not,
Just like the ventless fireplaces, it's the same, you know, they will sell the ventless fireplaces, gas fireplaces, saying you don't have to vent these outside, they provide, they produce a water vapor, and they do produce a water vapor, and it does dissipate some of the CO2 in the air, but you do have CO2.
Yes.
You do have it. Maybe not as large amount, but you do have it.
This video is not wanting to cooperate. It's okay. It's basically reiterating everything that I've already said, except it's in about a 2-minute version versus
Oh, okay.
15 minutes. So you're not missing.
Okay.
It's talking about somebody who experienced it. So the same way as how they got sick.
What
These
were your husband's symptoms when he got sick? What were
well, he started getting lightheaded and losing track of what was going on. And I always go and check on him anyway when he's working out there by himself. And I went out there and I go, you're not looking good and you're not doing good. And the minute we took him out in the fresh air, he felt like he was feeling better. But we went in and had him checked anyway.
Mhm.
But they said, yeah, it was from the ventless heater.
Well, I'm glad that he's okay, and
Yes.
you were able to get him fresh air because that's
Mhm.
he could have passed out, and if you weren't checked on him, it
Yeah,
could have ended not great.
I was afraid the car was gonna fall on him.
Well, that's, anyway, you were there to watch out. Where you can get, you know, the Environmental Protection Agency, Center for Disease Control, FEMA, and then National Carbon Monoxide Awareness Association if you want more resources on carbon monoxide. Okay, did everybody sign in? Because we have something for you.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, Katie, pick a number between 1 and 6.
2.
2, okay.
That's not me, 'cause I was like.
Okay, Miss Patsy, you're a winner.
Yay.
So you can use this with Liberty Bells, give whoever's teaching the Homemaker lesson, or you can use it and then it's yours to keep, or you can give it away, or whatever you would like.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.